Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Alumni UK Month panel webinar, Pathway to Graduate Success, UK Alumni Journey and Employer Insights. Before I start the discussion and session, I would like to remind you all of a few housekeeping rules that we have today in this session. So please, first of all, this webinar will be recorded, and please mute your mic and turn off your video for non-speakers for all the audience, just to ensure the workshop efficiency. If you have any questions while we have the panel discussion ongoing, please post it here via the chat box on the right of your screen, and the moderator will pick it up, which is me, the moderator, will pick it up at the end of the session. Thank you. Without further ado, let's proceed with the panel discussion for today. Halfway, which is the pathway to graduate success, UK alumni journey and employee insights. A very long title, so but very straightforward content that we have here. So first of all, we have Dr. Zhiyun Chen in Associate Professor, Institute for Research in Molecular Medicine, University Science Malaysia, and she is also the winner of the Study UK Alumni Awards in 2020 for the Professional Achievement Award category. And next, we also have Ms. Hashira Drus. She is the lead talent mobility from TalentCorp Malaysia. And also we have Mr. Azri Fikry bin Ansari. He is the Vice President, Global Banking Strategy from Maybank, Malaysia. And next one, we have Ms. Ira Azhari. She is the manager of the Institute for Democracy and Economic Affairs. So I would like to say that what a lineup that we have today from the panel speakers. I'm sure their insights and inputs will be valuable for all of us today to get to know more about graduates' employability, UK education, and etc. So first of all, I would like to have all the speakers to introduce about themselves, and some of them are UK alumni too. So I will start with Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen, can you tell us a bit about your career, your current role in your organization, and what were the main reasons that made you study in the UK and how it has contributed to your career growth?
Right. So good evening, everyone. Thank you, Rifan, for the kind introduction. I'm very honored to be one of the panelists for today's event. I completed my DPhil in medical oncology at the University of Oxford back in 2011. And then I worked as a postdoctoral researcher at Karolinska Institutet, Sweden, prior to coming back to Malaysia, where I served as a lecturer at the Institute for Research in Molecular Medicine, University Science Malaysia. I'm currently an associate professor in molecular oncology, researching on the mechanisms of actions for novel therapeutics in cancer. So why I chose UK? Well, the UK has a strong reputation for world-class research and education. Their standards are highly regarded and they fare really well in international university rankings. So most of the universities are culturally diverse. I have always enjoyed learning about different cultures and traditions and just being part of them. So the UK is packed with some of the world's most impressive architecture and also rich in histories. Due to its strategic location, I was also very keen to explore Europe while studying in the UK. And not to mention, I love the British accents. I find them really, really attractive. British people are, in my opinion, the most polite people in the world. So how has the UK education made an impact to my career? Well, in my earlier days, when I first came back to Malaysia to start off my career in molecular oncology, I was told that I could not fit in. I did not fit in. Literally, I was just being thrown that phrase. Your work just did not fit in. So I had to choose if I had to try to fit in, to do what others wanted me to do, or to pursue my dreams doing what I was actually trained to do in the UK. So I chose the latter, but I knew that it would be an arduous journey ahead. People were not very accepting of my work on targeted therapy, at least at that time. In addition, I was only a junior scientist trying to do something different. Right. So targeted therapy was not a new term, but probably foreign to many people. My UK education has empowered me to stand up for my ideas. So targeted therapy holds the basis of to precision medicine. It refers to the use of drugs or agents to block very specific proteins that are involved in cancer signaling to hamper tumor growth, therefore causing less harm to healthy tissues, unlike chemotherapy. Today, people understand this topic better, and they know that this is the future of medicine. I'm glad that I persevered and followed through. So Oxford has taught me that. Back to you, Rifan.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. What a journey that you have studied in the UK. I'm sure it's a very fulfilling experience, and you won the Study UK Alumni Awards, and you have been continuing your effort at aspiring, especially women in science, as you also won an award on that. Okay, thank you so much. I would like to proceed to the next speaker that we have, also a UK alumni, Mr. Azri. Mr. Azri, the floor is yours. You can tell us a bit about your career journey and what drove you to study in the UK.
Thanks, Refhan. Well, it's quite hard to follow from Dr. Chen's impressive background. So just to give a very quick introduction about myself. So I'm a graduate from Bristol University in Masters of Aeronautical Engineering. So I studied there for 4 years, and then I stayed on in the UK for another 6 years to actually work with Airbus, which is I think most of us are familiar with Airbus as a aircraft manufacturer. So I worked there for 6 years as an engineer designing parts for the A380 double-decker planes and A330s and all those things. So after I stayed there for 6 years, and then I was asked to join Maybank through one of the career fairs I attended in London for professionals. So I think after 15 years I was abroad, I decided to come back, and I think we have a TalentCorp Hashira here. I think through TalentCorp I came back and joined Maybank as the head of human capital strategy, where I helped and worked on strategic initiatives to actually improve in terms of our people and the talent within the bank. Things like I launched the maternity leave and paternity leave policies for Maybank, which is unprecedented at the time, where we were giving a 1-year maternity leave for our employees and all those things. So I helped develop those. But after 2.5 years inside human capital, I decided to actually delve into the world of business. So that's where I am now after been 2 years, where I've worked as the global banking strategy, where I look at strategic initiatives, mainly due to digital initiatives and things like compliance, credit risk, all those kind of things at the moment. So that's a bit of my background, a bit colorful. Some people say I can do anything, or some people say that I don't know what I'm doing. So I mean, there's two perspectives, but I do have a very colorful background. So in terms of why I decided to go into the UK, I mean, in a way, I was quite lucky because I moved to Holland with my parents as an expat. So I was inducted in the British International School. So my education background is very British centric. So I think, but if to look at it as a hindsight, I think I would still choose the UK more than anywhere else. I think due to the fact that the field that I was going in, which is the aeronautical engineering field, was very developed there in the UK. It's one of the pioneer of the fields. And also the type of education. I mean, people always compare the US and the UK, for example, where they say, and the UK is more depth while the US is more breadth. So I think I prefer the latter, which is more depth in terms of the work. So I think that's part of the reason why I chose the UK. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's more to your preference. It depends on what you want to do. It depends on what you want to experience. I mean, not saying anything is superior over the other. It's all the same, but it just depends on what you want to do. So in terms of how the UK actually helped me in terms of my development, I think the way which my course and my degree was structured is we were pushed into projects from day one. So I think that is common across the UK universities, where you do a lot of projects, a lot of teamwork based stuff. So when they put me in that situation, or when you put me in that situation, it's things like this you develop over time. You actually understand how to manage projects, how to run projects. That comes second nature to me, even though I don't have a project management training or those kind of things, but it's second nature because it's something I was exposed to from very early on in my education, my university education. The fact that my degree was actually quite a specialized degree, but they actually still teach you how to apply whatever the knowledge that you're doing to whatever situation that you have. So it's an applied science. So they give you the mindset of trying to apply the different skills that you learn as an engineer to other parts of business as well, to other things that you can do. So I think that attributed to how I am able to jump between different fields without having too much difficulties. So I think that's one of the things I felt like it's really helpful. That the education that don't just concentrate on the knowledge of the subject itself, but they also actually improve you in terms of giving you the mindset to think outside the box and having the strategic and transformative views and all those kind of things. So I think that's how the UK education has helped me in terms of my career so far.
Yeah, well, Mr. Azri, that's a very colorful one. You switched from aeronautical background, and now you're a strategic leads in banking, world leading banking companies. I very much hats off to you, and quite summarize most of our discussion in one go just now. So all right, I would like to go to Miss Aira. Miss Aira from Ideas. Miss Aira, would you like to? She's the manager from Ideas. Would you like to go on ahead?
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to British Council for having me here today. I'm Ira Azhari, so I'm the manager for the. I'm one of the research managers actually in the research team at the Institute for Democracy and Economic Affairs, Ideas. So maybe some of you here might not be too familiar with Ideas. So we're a think tank, non-profit organization. We're already 10 years old, 11 years old actually this year. And I joined in 2016. I came into the research team, and now I'm the manager for the Democracy and Governance Unit at Ideas. So just a bit about my own UK journey. So I actually did my law degree at the University of Liverpool for 3 years. And then right after that, in 2015, right after that, I continued with my master's, my LLM in Public International Law at the London School of Economics in Political Science. Why did I choose to do a master's right after my degree? Several reasons. Firstly, during my degree, there were certain areas of the law that I was very interested in, that I wanted to pursue further. So I spoke to some of my lecturers, and they said, you know, if you're really interested in this, then why not go do a master's, right? Secondly, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do after I graduate. You know, I did law, but I did like a short internship during my second year, summer break, at a law firm here in KL. I had a taste of what law practice could be. I mean, it was a positive experience overall, but I wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So I thought, you know, why not pursue a master's degree, and I got the funding for it as well from Aira. So I went ahead and did that for 1 year in LSE. If anyone else wants to know about an LLM in the UK, we can talk about that. I'm open to discussing that as well later. So I finished my master's in 2015, and then it came to the time where I was supposed to apply for jobs, right? So as I mentioned before, I wasn't that interested in practicing law. I did apply to do the bar, kind of just for the sake of it, but I wasn't that interested in pursuing it. So I applied for jobs as well, and in both in the UK and in Malaysia. I had an idea that I wanted to join like the non-profit sector. I also did an internship during my first year with Sisters in Islam, quite a prominent NGO in Malaysia that fights for women's rights. So I liked it. I really enjoyed the job. So I thought, okay, why not I try and go into that field. So I applied to several non-profit, several think tanks. Ideas had a vacancy at the time, so I applied, and I got in as a fresh graduate in January of 2016. So I'm still here now, here at Ideas, I mean, until now. And it's been a really great experience. How has my UK experience helped me in my work and also in my life? I think that I mean, before that, why is it that I chose to go to the UK, right? So I wanted to do law. So naturally, if it was either I stayed in Malaysia or I went to the UK, or I could also go to Australia. The Australian degree is 4 years, similar to the Malaysian degree. But the UK degree is 3 years, and if you want to practice, you need to do the bar. So the UK was just kind of a natural choice for me because of I wanted to do law, right? So how has that experience helped? I think in terms of the actual subjects and the actual subject matter I learned, of course it was really interesting, and but I think that even if you did law in Malaysia, you would kind of receive the same education in that sense, because our law is most of it is actually a reflection of the UK common law system. But I think what really helped is the sort of initiative and independence that you are given while in pursuing your studies. So I remember that, especially during my masters, I think that really was a big leap for me, because there is literally no one telling you what you can and cannot do at all. You get a reading list before every class, which is a lot. So there's about 15 texts that you need to read for like 4 different classes, and it's completely on you to finish those readings. And if you don't, no one's going to check on you or scold you, but you probably will not be able to get the most out of that course, which means that you wasted your time and your money studying that subject, right? So that kind of independence and initiative that is required, I think, is something that I think is really valuable, especially now in a workplace setting where it's kind of the same, right? You are expected to take initiative and do work independently. So I think that's really important. Of course, the UK as well is a beautiful country. So if you get the chance to just even travel around the UK, I think is a very valuable experience as well. If you want to do law, and you want to do it in a UK university, I think that is a great choice. And like for me, even though I didn't end up practicing law, I really enjoyed my studies. So the study of the law, I think, is really interesting, and people go on to do a lot of things with their law degrees. So other things that I did when I was in the UK, I was pretty active in UKC. So I was quite involved in a lot of the Malaysian student affairs over there. When I did my masters, I got a bit more involved in some of the international student stuff as well. So I think that's something you should take the opportunity to do while you are there. Okay, I think that's all from me for now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Aira. Really like your experience there, because after your degree in Liverpool, you also continued at LSE on your law masters. Okay, so right now we would like to go to our final speaker, Ms. Hashira from TalentCorp. Ms. Hashira, can you please tell us about your career journey and your current role in your organization at TalentCorp? And I will do the next question, where we will start our moderated question.
Okay, I'll be happy to. Yes, again, thank you to Study UK British Council for inviting us to be part of this session. So just a brief information about myself. I was formerly from Ministry of Tourism and Culture Malaysia, where I spent my years as a diplomatic officer for 5 years there. And now I've been with TalentCorp for 6.5 years, still young. So in the last 3 years, I was instrumental in setting up talent mobility team at TalentCorp, focusing on young talents, youth. And then this is where we create different kind of initiatives, innovative initiatives to ensure that we are able to sustain talent pipeline for Malaysia. So when it comes to finding fulfillment at work, the way we look at or the way we think about our job is the key, at least to me, because as a local graduate, I tend to understand and see the importance of early exposure to global exposure for students, because this would definitely contribute to students' confidence and also the way they learn how to network with outside world. So international exposure will definitely increase students or graduates' employability. But unfortunately, not everybody is fortunate enough to go study abroad. So at TalentCorp, from our observation, we see cross-border internship or maybe some talent mobility initiatives equivalent in value to study abroad, more or less. So this is where I found my passion and also sense of purpose to drive talent mobility agenda at TalentCorp. Aside from talent mobility, like cross-border internship, I also work very, very closely with Malaysian students organisation abroad, not only in the UK, everywhere, basically. So we work very closely with MSOs, industry players, to facilitate Malaysian students who are currently studying abroad. So we do engagement, networking session with employers, we do virtual physical career fair, we co-host and host leadership programs for students. So just maybe some insight on what I do at TalentCorp is my primary work anchored on Trust 1 and also Trust 3 at TalentCorp, which is number one is optimizing Malaysian talent. That is our main trust, number one. It focuses more towards graduates and local talents like women. So we help students in creating their roadmap, helping them to build self-awareness via our initiatives like next profiling tools. We help them to create market awareness through our programs like semester break programs, YES programs where we collaborate with universities and also our partners. And we also have a structured internship program and our cross-border internship program, my asset internship, where we aim to expand their exposure towards the industry and to provide like industry exposure as early as possible. So as for trust number 3, what I do at TalentCorp is we're looking at building a source pool of talent. This includes Malaysians or expats who are currently abroad. So this initiative focusing on building networks, collaborations, platform to facilitate an ease of engagement to foster the collaborations with talent abroad. This is where Malaysians who are currently living abroad will be able to continue from far, then don't have to return home to contribute back to the country. Basically, what I do at TalentCorp.
Thanks. Thank you so much. I have a quick question. Okay, we can start the topic on our graduate employability. So, from TalentCorp perspective, Ms. Shira, what is the strategy from TalentCorp? I heard so many programs just now. Can you clarify a bit more in terms of how to grow the talents of graduates in especially in this current climate?
TalentCorp partnerships is at the core of our strategy. We partner with everybody, like we partner with the government agency, with the ministry, industry players, academia. So we work very closely to ensure that significant supply of appropriate skilled talent are available for the industry to meet their demand. So these close engagements and partnerships are crucial to enable effective top-bottom and also bottom-up input, which is accurate based on the current and also future needs. So we work with industry. We also bridge industry with the academia to ensure we were able to deliver what the industry needs, either current demand or the future demand. So through this partnership, what we do, generally we advocate policies. We also introduce and share best practices with the industry and also academia. We also implement various interventions programs, like the programs that I mentioned earlier. And also we have other programs and initiatives, like too much to mention here. But yeah, like merely we're focusing on 3 main trusts, which is number 1, to optimize Malaysian talent, which focus solely on graduates and also like Malaysian talents, like for example, women. And then after that, we have thrust number 2, where we aim to attract and also facilitate global talent. This includes Malaysian diaspora and also expats. And number 3, the thrust number 3 is we look at building networks of top talent, where we aim to foster collaborations to propagate opportunities that exist in Malaysia. We also aim to strengthen the linkages and also collaboration between industry and also academia. So yeah, basically one word, it's partnerships. We can never do this alone. Yep.
I understand. I understand. So partnership is the way you work, or else we will work in silos, right? So okay, thanks, Miss Hashira. Okay, so I would like to relate in terms of the current climate more in depth. COVID-19 has certainly made a huge impact to employability of graduates in Malaysia. I'm sure students and graduates in this webinar or who will be watching this webinar, they must keen to know how exactly to get jobs immediately upon graduation, and how can actually they overcome these barriers, and what are the skills needed. Maybe you can summarize into the top 3 skills which you think or TalentCorp think is the most important for the next 5 year ahead?
At the moment, of course, like the situation is more uncertain than usual. It is more difficult, but the opportunities will still be available. We are seeing improvement at a moderate pace in our labor force situation. There were like some positive month-to-month growth in employment since June 2020, which is the starting of recovery MCO. And also, according to Job Store survey, over 70% of Malaysian employers intend to hire again within the 6 month post MCO, which includes entry-level graduates. So the road ahead will not be easy, especially for young graduates who will soon taking their first step on the career path. But however, it's important to remember that young Malaysian graduates are immediate source of top talent for many Malaysia's key industry. Many graduate recruiters will continue to hire as they need the businesses to be ready for the post-pandemic period. So graduates, I mean, it's hard. I mean, you might take a while to get a job, but it's okay. You could use this opportunity to prepare yourself better and also to improve your employability. Some of the things that which is easy for you to start right now, you can definitely maybe cultivate a new hobby or interest, because qualification itself is no longer the only thing that graduates need to impress the prospective employers. So picking up a new skills and also demonstrates initiative, passion of learning, to be innovative, creative, is a very valuable trait sought after by the employers. And then while you're waiting, I mean, if you send your CVs, then if you have to wait for interviews, you can take an online courses. Like course providers includes FutureLearn or Coursera. A number of universities run massive open learning courses, which is free for the students. Maybe improve your online online presence. So increasing number of employers today look at the graduates or talent social media in order to get to know them and then to do either the best suit into the organization or the job itself. Another thing that I would throw is learn a language, because business is increasingly international. So mastering a well-used language like Mandarin or maybe Arabic would often give you an edge over your competitors. So it's critical to recognize that new career opportunities that you may not have considered before, you should consider now. You should stay focused. I mean, do your research, build your experience and skills, and then so that you'll be in better position to apply for opportunity that's coming.
Thank you, Miss Shira. I like the point where you mentioned about develop new hobby and interests, and as well as language. I think that's a quite important one. So I think we can summarize it as communication skills, which I think most employers will agree that communication is the key to any employability opportunities. So now I would like to move to Mr. Azri, since we touch on skills coming from employers' perspective, especially Maybank, which usually hire the top talents or decent talents in the industry. I believe hiring the right talent will be crucial. Hence, relating back to Ms. Hashira remarks, in what ways do you think graduates can be prepared to join companies such as Maybank or equip themselves? And 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 what do you think of it? If not Maybank, maybe other companies in general.
Thanks, Irfan. I think Hashira covered, I think, most of my points, but it's okay. No, let's be honest here, right? In terms of the skills that I feel that we need, or the graduates will need moving forward, right? I think that the most important thing to me is for everyone here who's listening to actually understand what are your strengths and weaknesses in terms of your way of working, right? Because what I'm talking about here is what we call, or what we used to call, soft skills, right? But now I don't think those are soft anymore. I think those are critical skills that we need to have in your toolbox in order for you to be successful. So I think these things are actually probably more important than your technical knowledge, because I mean, as everyone here who's working, right, whatever you learn at the university is probably 30-40% of whatever that you actually do now. At the end of the day, is how you as a person know how to adapt to the situation. So things like critical thinking, problem solving, I think surveys have showed like these are at the top of the list. And now with the pandemic coming in, there are other skills that you need to have. For example, like Hashira mentioned, things like self-management, being able to actually know how to manage your work, not having someone telling you what to do, taking initiatives, active learning, actually doing things that is outside your comfort zone, trying to learn those kind of things, and even resilience, right? I mean, it's stressful working from home. It's not the best thing in the world. So these kind of things, you need to actually be aware of where you are in terms of skill level at this point. I'm not saying to everyone here, don't concentrate on your studies. I mean, you still have to get the best grades that you can achieve, but it's not the be all and end all of everything, right? So I think that's why, I mean, I can speak from a Maybank point of view. That's why with our global Maybank apprentice program, which is a graduate entry level management trainee program, right? We don't look at your CGPA. We don't look at your grades. We don't care where you come from. I mean, we hire bankers from a bioscience degree, myself, and engineers. So we don't look at those things. What we look at is how do you adapt? What's your way of thinking? How do you actually conduct yourself? Are you willing to learn and all those kind of things, right? Because I mean, things like, are you able to work with people from different parts of the world, different background, different way of thinking, and all those kind of things? Because Maybank is a very diverse organization, and a lot of organizations now, like Hashira mentioned, is going global. So things like, I mean, Maybank, we have people from 18 countries and 42,000 employees, right? You're working with people almost in every walks of life, every different age. For Maybank particularly, right, a company that's been there for a long time. So you're working with the baby boomers, the Gen X, the Gen Y, the Gen Zs, the millennials, all can be sitting at the same table discussing on the same thing. And you need to be able to understand how they think and what they think, right? So as an employee, and as for me as a personal thing, is when I interview people, when I hire someone back in my younger days actually taught me this, is you always have this thought in your mind: is that person going to be better than you when they are in your shoe? I mean, does this person have the potential to be better than you? Because to build a good team, to build a profitable business, I think you need better people to come in, or people with better potentials to come in. I think from an employer point of view, I think that is the key thing that I think graduates need to really be wary of, because a lot of people concentrate on getting the best scores, but I think you need to involve yourself in the extracurricular activity. Like I think Aira mentioned, she involves in a lot of things, committees, and all those kind of things. Those are the things that will actually help you later in life. So I think that's it from a perspective of an employer.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Azri. I completely agree with your remarks, and especially in this current climate, a lot more skills needed, especially on resilience, being proactive. I also would like to add emotional intelligence is also a key part, because you're communicating with human companies have lots of humans in it, and of course critical skills adding up to that. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Azri. And just one more question to you. I'm sure graduates quite in a panic mode right now. My question is from all of them out there, should they be concerned? I think I'll leave it to you to answer. Can you give us your insights about the trajectory of the current economic climate and the future of it? How should they anticipate it? I think Ms. Hashira did answer a bit, but we would like to know from Maybank perspective, from your perspective.
Yeah, so I think I'll touch on the climate, the economic climate. I think the jury is still out there in terms of how long this recovery will take. But I think everyone is in agreement that definitely we are in the recovery stage already. We are going up that curve. So in terms of it's just a question of how long will it take for us to get back to the pre-pandemic level. But I think the government and all the organizations are trying their best to get it done sooner rather than later. So I mean, certain projections says 2-3 years, certain projections say 1-2 years, but it depends. I mean, certain sectors will do better than others, I think, moving forward. I think, and even within a certain sector, different organizations will do better. It depends on the ability of that organization to pivot or to move as quickly as they can. But what, like Hashira mentioned, opportunities will definitely be out there. It's just waiting for someone to grab it, right? So back to the question that probably every single person here, and if I am in their shoe, I will also ask the question: should I be concerned? The answer to that is yes and no, because yes, the market is tough. There's no one. I mean, you shouldn't lie to yourself, and no one should lie to you. The market is tough. Companies are looking to save costs, be optimal, be efficient. That means, I mean, you're seeing companies cutting their own employees who's been there 10, 15 years, right? So it's difficult for graduates, no doubt. Excuse me. But there will be opportunities. New jobs will be created without a shadow of a doubt. New jobs, new roles, all those things will be created. And like Hashira mentioned, the survey, I think everyone read that in the news and felt quite happy. Is a lot of companies are thinking about hiring, right? Thinking about getting new talents into the organization, especially young talent. So yes, be wary, but don't be too worried because there will be opportunities coming up. There will be jobs that are created that doesn't exist now because of the pandemic, right? So for example, I give you an example. Maybank, we are quite fortunate in terms of our hiring. So we still continue our hiring during the COVID times, during MCO times. So we had to change the way we interview. We had to change the way we source our talents. But I think we still hired about 1,800 young talents into the bank during the pandemic in 2020, right? So there is always opportunities out there for people to come in. It's just at the right time. I'm sure, inshallah, that everything will be back to how it was, and all of it here will have an opportunity to get a job.
Thank you, Mr. Azri. That's I can say in summary, not being complacent to all graduates out there, but be prepared. While you're looking for jobs, do what Mr. Chira said just now. Equip yourself with new hobby, and then take online course, learn new languages, add up your values.
Yeah,
okay.
and just to add one more point, right? I think what is really, really important, because when an employer sees there's a gap in your CV, right? Let's say there's a year gap or a 2-year gap, they will ask the question that you always ask is, what did you do at this time, right? And if you say, I just sat at home and did nothing, then it doesn't bode well for you, right? But if you actually say, oh, I did this, I took online course, I did Mandarin, all those things, they will show that you have some sort of a drive to actually improve yourself, even though there's you are in a difficult position, right? So I think that is very, very important for everyone to take on this.
That's a good additional point, Mr. Azri. Okay, I would like to, since we talk about climate, okay, Miss Aira, coming from a think tank perspective, ideas, you're also do a lot of research in governance as well as political climate. Okay, do you think youth graduates should be also concerned in terms of our local political climate as well as the global, and will the future will be more promising for current graduates if looking at the political climate? How it will support them?
I don't think this is an easy question to answer, but I'll try my best. There has been a lot of research already done about how the political climate or political stability actually does really highly affect business, economic, and job prospects. So I think the World Bank actually just very recently, within this week actually, just released quite a long report about our Malaysia's trajectory. And I haven't finished reading it yet, I have to admit. It's quite a long report, but quite a big chunk of it is dedicated solely to looking at our political business links, our institutional weaknesses that does affect Malaysia's economic trajectory. So the link between political stability, economics, and business is well established. If you know, at Ideas, we get paid a visit by rating agencies every year. Fitch, for example, does come and talk to us to get our insights about governance, political stability, which they do take into account for their, when they do their credit ratings and all that. So it does play a role. And in terms of how it would directly affect like fresh graduate job prospects, I don't think political stability or instability is the only factor. Of course, there are many multiple factors, but how it does relate is, if you have political instability, or there's just uncertainty in governance, or who's going to become the next prime minister, for example, that will then have a knock-on effect to policies, right? Because if you don't have a government that can work together properly, it'll be very difficult to come up with long-term economic plans or recovery plans for the country, especially during these critical times, right? So having said that, I do want to add that political instability is not, Malaysia is not the only country that's facing that at the moment. So there is a worldwide trend of, weak governance, political instability. We're seeing a rise of authoritarianism in some countries, and I think this is a cycle. So it started maybe in 2015, 2016, and I think we're like right in the middle of that cycle now. So it's not just Malaysia that's suffering from that. We are seeing this global trend, and I think the pandemic just sort of made everything worse, unfortunately. So so I would say that there is an effect, and which is why economic and business reforms cannot work in a vacuum. Politics and governance and democratic institutions must be reformed all at the same time. So nothing can happen in silos, right?
Thanks so much on that. I think that's a very good inputs about political and how it relates to the businesses as well as graduates. Okay, so do you have any also thoughts on coming back from what we discussed just now on skills, talents? Would you like to add on how can graduates take advantage of this situation?
Just sharing from my own experience at Ideas when we have fresh graduates coming in. Of course, fresh graduates are evaluated differently than experienced hires, right? So for me, with fresh graduates, apart from all the other important things that our fellow panelists has mentioned, I think that what really stands out, and I think what makes a fresh graduate do well in whichever company that his or her goes into is a real willingness to learn. And when I say willingness to learn, it's not just about like being open to like new things and all that, but when I say a willingness to learn, it really means that you cannot be too in Malay we call it berkira. Like you cannot be too kind of calculative or too selective. That's the word. Too selective with what is it that you learn, right? You need to come in with an attitude that any knowledge is going to be useful, and that any skill that you learn is going to be useful. And skills is not just project management or like learning how to do accounts or stuff like that, but your everyday interaction with your colleagues, how you manage those kinds of relationships that you have in the workplace is also really important. Your relationship with your superiors is also very, very important. And those are all skills that you will need to pick up as you move along in your career. And maybe I'll just add one more, which is, I think, something that is absolutely important to me is for you to have a sense of urgency in the work that you do, in the deliverables that you know end up doing. Because I think if you lack a sense of urgency, it will show in the work that you put out. And you need to have that kind of realization that that no one is going to be, that you are accountable for your own work and your own deadlines, and that will give you a sense of responsibility towards your work, really, which I think is really important. And nowadays, with working remotely, working from home, I'm sure many employers are starting to realize that you can't micromanage people anymore. It's just not possible. I mean, micromanaging was never a good thing in the first place, but it's getting even more difficult, right? So that sense of ownership and responsibility for your work, I think, that's increasingly important. And that's not something that your degree will teach you, but it's the attitude that you have towards your work and towards your studies that will prepare you for that.
Thank you, Ms. Aira. That's a very good final tips coming from you, and especially from ideas. Dr. Chen, coming from a UK alumni and as the winner of the Alumni Awards in 2020, I would like to get more inputs from you, especially for the UK graduates and alumni. The question is, how can UK graduates utilize their experience in the UK as well as UK education in facing these challenges? I'm sure some of the other speakers has also highlighted about the UK education. Can the UK education equip them with such skills? You can also give an example from your time in the UK.
Right. So I would say definitely you have to go with an open mind. Okay, it could be a lot more than a study that you gain and appreciate most the culture, the friends that you make, and most importantly, the experience that could be life-changing, if not enriching. These are the memories that will stay with you for the rest of your life. So every experience is unique, right? So these experiences will shape you to be the person that you will be in the future, and then this in return will influence you and be the motivating factors for you to give back to society, and these experiences will also offer you new perspectives in lives, right? So in my opinion, quality education has the ability to shape the way we learn and think, as long as we are open-minded. So it is in the journey itself we are shaped to be the best version of ourselves, right? While studying abroad, you will meet people not only from the host country, but also from other countries, and understanding different cultures is not only critical, but it also promotes meaningful coexistence. So I personally think that cultural awareness is an added advantage in a globalized world, especially when you come out to work. And as emphasized by other panelists, being aware of the common differences between cultures can increase trust and improve work relationships as well as communications. And these are all key elements to any successful team. To be honest, when I started off my journey as a PhD student in the UK, I had very little confidence. I only had a first-class bachelor's degree from a local university with not much research experience. So at that time, I felt that I might have insufficient knowledge and experience to do a direct PhD. It was intimidating at first, just thinking about being surrounded by great minds from all over the world. But the University of Oxford offers a supportive and nurturing environment to bring out the best in the students, not only to excel in academics, but also in extracurricular activities, and to also improve personal development skills, which I greatly benefited from. As ironic as it sounds, the University of Oxford has actually taught me the importance of work-life balance. For one example, because I was actually a scholar and I only had 3.5 years maximum to complete my PhD. So every student in Oxford would be parked under a college. So we live in a college, at least in the first year. And I remembered telling my professor that I wanted to move out from the college system so that I could move closer to the hospital so that I don't have to spend 1 hour traveling to the hospital to do my research every day. And he actually told me, he said, no, don't do that. You know, stay in a college at least for the first year, you know, enjoy college life, enjoy what Oxford has to offer you, mingle with the people, participate in the activities. And, you know, I was like thinking, you know, back in Malaysia, I would never really hear that from any of the professors. In fact, it might be the other way around. They might be telling me, you've not worked hard enough, you know, it's always you being confined in a lab. But, you know, when you are in the UK, there's a lot for you to experience. So I think you just need to go with an open mind and just experience as much as you could. You know, sometimes the experience may not be so good, but sometimes, most of the time, you learn from them. You're right, they are all lessons to be learned, and it makes you a more resilient person.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. Thank you so much. I completely agree with you. And I think I just realized that you had a degree in Malaysia and then you took a PhD to the UK. That's very adventurous, especially you made it to the Oxford. I've been there once, and I said to myself, if I've been there maybe 15 years old, I will for sure get straight A's, SPM, and try to go to Oxford. It's a very nice city, and it's very beautiful. But not just Oxford. Everywhere in the UK is like that. The environment is what you want actually. So if you have the capabilities, work harder to get more scholarships, you can. I'll never say no to it. Just go ahead. I'm sure all the speakers will agree to it. And just to let you know, we are quite at the end of our session. I will open the floor up for a question from the audience if there's any. And for your information to all in our webinar today, that the UK government has introduced the post-study work opportunity for UK graduates, international students, which you can work in the UK for 2 years when you finish your study in undergraduate and masters for 2 years. So you can work for 2 years, even though you have not accepted any job offer yet. You before your student visa expired, apply for the graduate route and you can work in the UK for 2 years. While for PhD, and if Dr. Chen is much earlier, has do another PhD this year, she can work in the UK for 3 years from the graduate route. So I do not see any questions from the chat box. I think our audience may be quite shy today. I would like to go around the panel roundtable. If you would like to add any last advice to graduates as well as current students or prospective students who will commence their study in the future. So maybe I can start with Ms. Hashira.
To me, one thing that UK graduates can definitely benefit from the UK is the diversity of the students over there. As you know, like I graduated from a local university, and when I was in the university, majority of the people over there, it's either Malay or Bhumiputra. It's good, but I had very little, close to none interaction with international students, and for that, I think UK graduates have much richer diversity education experience, which is very, very good. And I think students who have studied overseas would have added advantage in terms of exposures to cultural diversity, and this would have broadened their professional perspective, especially after seeing different working cultures, different thought process and etc. So just to share, in the local industry in Malaysia, there's always the need for talent diversity. Companies aim to build multi-talented teams, looking at boosting innovations, wider range of input and ideas that would help them making better decisions or products. So Malaysian students who are currently studying abroad is highly encouraged to return to contribute to the country. I would say highly encouraged, not push or force, but yeah, to highly encouraged to come back and then work in Malaysia, complement the local workforce like Mr. Azri, and at the same time, you guys can share and impart the knowledge and experience that you have, which can definitely benefit our industry and also our nation.
Thank you, Ms. Shira. We got a question on the chat which says, any comments on scope of current Malaysian students to pursue master in the UK at a good university? I think quite hard to answer this. We might need more background, right, in terms of what course or in terms of background that the audience coming from. I will take this. So any comments on scope of current Malaysian students to pursue masters at a good UK university? So my advice is, ranking is not the only thing to look forward when it comes to pursue masters in the UK. Look at more towards the experience that you will get in the UK, and then whether you want a metropolitan city living kind of lifestyle, or you want a more coastal area such as Brighton or maybe Plymouth. So it depends on yourself. So you need to ask yourself also in terms of employability, to add that, have a look in terms of partnership that the university is currently having with their companies, partnership that they've done, so that you can get more experience in terms of practical or internship during your summer break. So that's my take from that. So for your information, I am the Study UK program manager, so I do answer most of queries around this. Okay, Mr. Azri, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think just a quick one in terms of just some general advice. I think for those who are graduating or will be graduating, who wants to come back and work in Malaysia, and I think there are a few things that you have to really be wary of. I think number one is be humble, because whenever you enter the job market, even though you've got a 4.0 or you've got a first in your UK degree, right? You have to still be humble, because when you start in the workplace, you start from ground zero. You are the same with anyone, anywhere, from local graduates, international graduates. None of that makes a difference. Is your attitude that makes a difference, right? It's not how much that you know, it's how much that you're willing to learn. I think one of the panelists mentioned that earlier. Another one is, don't be scared to be the stupidest person in the room. I mean, always ask a question, right? Because what I do find when I come across graduates sometimes is they're scared to ask questions because they feel that they're going to look stupid. But being in a workplace, there are things that you definitely don't know. There are things that you definitely will come across that you're not sure about. I mean, it's a practice that I still do now, where I still write down things that I don't understand when I sit in the meeting, my notepad, and then I go home, I Google it, and then I was like, oh, that's what they meant. So I mean, even now after 10 years of working, I still do it, because there are things that will always be there. And then for those who have worked in the UK or have been in the UK for so long, when you come back to Malaysia, the culture is different. You have to really understand that, and don't get too frustrated, because there are organizations in Malaysia who are working slightly differently on how the organizations are in the UK. Even though, I mean, not everyone can be a Google or Facebook, right? You can't have beanbags everywhere now, because different organizations function differently, and different things and different organizations have different ways of working. And the last point is, like I said earlier, ask questions. Always ask when you understand a process within an organization, when you understand an organization, understand the process on why things are done, but that doesn't stop you from challenging them, because that's part of the reason why we hire new talents, is to have a fresh perspective of things, right? So in the nicest way possible, ask questions, ask why, challenge the process, try to open up other people's minds, because even though someone's been there 20 years, it doesn't mean that they cannot change the way of working because you've asked a question. So I think those are the kinds of things that I think graduates really need to think about whenever you move into a working environment. That's it from me, Irfan. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Azri. That's a very, very good inputs. Miss Aira, any from you last to add?
Thank you. Yeah, well, actually, I just wanted to, I think Mr. Azri said, don't be afraid of looking like the stupidest person in the room. And I would actually say that, there's a saying that says, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, So, yeah, so don't be complacent with, looking smart or looking stupid. Ask questions and be curious about your surroundings in general. And while in the UK, if you're interested in culture, immerse yourself in local culture. If you're interested in food, I don't know, immerse yourself in that. If you're interested in politics, immerse yourself in local UK politics, right? Take advantage of those opportunities that you'll probably not get anymore for the rest of your life. So if there was one thing that I would have done better during my time in the UK is exactly that, to have immersed myself a bit more in local culture, local politics. So yeah, go ahead and do that, and don't be afraid of losing your identity or any of that. All of that is part of finding yourself and forming your own person. So yeah, thank you again, and good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Aira. That's a very good words coming from you. And Dr. Chen, last but not least, anything
Right.
from you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. Yeah, it's very important because I see that a lot of graduates, upon coming back from overseas and back to Malaysia, they literally hold their heads up high, and I think humility is very, very important. So I totally agree with the panelists, and I think with the introduction of the graduate route, this is particularly beneficial for the graduates because I believe in diversity and inclusion at the workplace. So different people from various backgrounds and cultures often have individual skills and ideas to bring to the table, right? And this is great. So as fresh graduates, you can benefit from learning as much as you can from others. Your 2-3 years spent there, mingle, mix, and work with others and learn how they solve problems. And this actually helps you gain new perspectives. Working abroad might be the biggest and the best adventure of your life. Most of the time, all of these experiences will help you build resilience. And when you return to Malaysia, you will be able to use the experience, the network, and the connections that you have made. Or for example, if you're in academia like myself, you will be able to collaborate with your international peers to maximize research output, especially in a low resource setting like Malaysia. This is what I find really helpful, having that international connections.
Thank you, Dr. Chen. At British Council, we are well aware of a lot of international connection that you have. Okay, so I think I have dragged 4 minutes of everyone's time, including the audience of this panel session. I would like to say thank you so much, panel speakers, Dr. Chen, Mr. Azri, Ms. Hashira, and Ms. Aira for your time today. So thank you so much and have a good weekend. We are on Friday. Sorry to drag your upcoming weekend. So please have a good time. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.